You want your Delta to print dopeness? Well, today I'm going to be walking you through how we build our effector plates for our super racers. So let's get into it. We will be using this file that can be found on printables. Just type it into your favorite search bar and it should pop right up. For tools that I will be using in this video, first off, we have this basic soldering kit right here. Next, we have this small, lovely little butane blowtorch. Couple of basic tools right here that you'll need: wire strippers, snips, you know it. These octopus arms for the soldering. A hot glue gun. And this heat sink press. It's not necessary, but it is nice to have. Now, let's get into the parts you'll need for this project. Starting our parts list off, of course, is our 3D printed effector, fan ducts, two 12-volt circular fans. I just want to take a quick break in the video to mention how important it is to use 24-volt fans versus 12-volt fans, because I accidentally did that here. And you see, in the comment sections for this video, we found this guy.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the
A 24-volt center fan, stock effector with the V6 hot end, 4 2-pin connectors, a set of 4-pin connectors, the star of our show here, the orbiter, and of course, the connecting cables that come with it, 3M heat inserts, specifically 7, some spare Bowden tube, any will do really, and lastly, some zip ties. It's good to note before moving on that the tube and connectors I have shown here actually come from Amazon and are not the ones that come stock on the machine. The ones that come stock on the machine are honestly preferred because they have colorings that help you match up the wires correctly when plugging it all in, but these ones will work fine. So just a quick note, if you decide to use ones from Amazon, just make sure the red and black wires are hooked up correctly, because sometimes they're not, and it's a really bad day if they're hooked up wrong. For our heating element today, we'll be using a V6 hardened steel nozzle, a copper heat throat, its respective heat block, our heating element, and our thermistor. So now starts the actual build process itself. So from this point on, I'll be occasionally chiming in to explain what I'm doing. So here we will be putting heat inserts into our 3D printed part. When these are printed, usually supports are stuck inside, so make sure to just clear out the holes beforehand, otherwise the heat inserts might not go in correctly. It's important to mention here to just take your time. You want all the heat inserts to be flush with the surface, and additional cleanup will be required to remove parts of the plastic that gets pushed out, but that's just part of the process. Take your time, make it look nice. Alright, now for the fun part, the soldering. So, most of this project is soldering, and it takes quite a bit of time, but focus up and do a good job. I promise you won't regret it. Quick note about the orbiter shown here. This one was already set up, but I decided to snip it off just to show you the whole process of how I wired the orbiter together. This is the stock center fan, so of course it's already set up for the machine. So what I'm doing here is basically comparing the wire lengths of the circular fans to the wire length of the orbiters so that when you put it all together, it matches up. Again, make sure to match the lengths of the heating element and the thermistor. Alright, for this next part, we're going to go kind of slow because it's very important you set this up correct. So an important step here is to make sure that your thermistor can bend because you want to be able to loop it in with the rest of your wires, and otherwise it might smash into the top part of your effector plate, and that's not very good for it, so just be aware of that. Be very careful here to not over tighten your thermistor just in case you need to remove it, otherwise it might get stuck inside your heating block. So arguably right now, this is the most important part about assembling this entire thing. So first, screw your nozzle all the way in. And once you have it in, put in your heat throat. It just needs to be finger tight for now. Now, get a tool you can tighten the nozzle down with. Okay, so I did a terrible job at showing the camera what I was doing, so I apologize for that. But basically what I'm doing here is I'm taking the nozzle and I'm unscrewing in a corner, and then I'm tightening my heat throat down all the way, and I'll take my tool and tighten the nozzle down all the way after that. And what this does is it basically strengthens up the connection between the heat throat and the nozzle so it doesn't move while you're using it. So now that you have all your parts ready, it's time to assemble the whole thing. So first you want to put on the center fan. For the circular fans, you want to make sure that you use a little bit of hot glue to keep it in place and to press down into the fan ducts so that you know your fan is properly seated. Alright, so now what you want to do is you want to take your spare bonin and get a piece that's about this long. So this is the one I used before, so it's already cut down to length. It's about 1.5 inches long. So this will just sit at the bottom of your orbiter. Now it's time for us to screw on our orbiter. Make sure to alternate screws just to make sure you're not over tightening one. So what I'm doing here is I'm putting a little bit of glue and pressing the wire down onto it so that the wire doesn't just kind of hang freely and it's actually stuck to the part itself. Double check that your heating block fits up nice and snug to your effector plate. So what I'm pointing to right here is that we only use one grub screw for this heating throat. Now, if you have a longer heating throat, you can use two, but for this case, it only takes one. Be sure to give it a nice wiggle check just to make sure it's in all the way. When putting the effector plate on, make sure that your bonin tube is the correct length, and if it is, it should just slide right on there. And also make sure that that little magnetic part that holds the probe is facing towards the center fan. Alright, so now this is where you put on your fan ducts. So you can always use the stock ones if you want, but I wanted to 3D print some red ones to match the color. Once you've got it all connected, you can zip tie all the wires together. And with that, you have completed your direct drive for your Super Racer. So go ahead, enjoy your beautiful work, and go print something dope with that. Thank you so very much for watching.